Not all holidays end with souvenirs and sunsets. Some end with something you carry with you forever. In today's episode, I'll be sharing a terrifying true story about 5 friends who thought they booked a peaceful stay by the beach, only to find themselves caught in the grip of something ancient, something dark, and something that was never meant to be disturbed. This is a story of the haunted homestay in Port Dickson. Hello fellow creeps, once again welcome to today's episode of Creepy with Coffee. I'm Kim, your storyteller. Now before we get on to today's story, I have 2 things to share with you. One is a shout out to our new subscriber, StarCharles729, that says, "That is a truly creepy story." This is talking about the previous episode. "I would have been out the door soon as the woman blew on my foot and issued her warning. I now wonder if Anna's husband got sick or, a marking of a minute, anything weird after eating his meal." Well, to answer StarCharles729's comment, it was not mentioned in the story, so we are not sure whether anything happened to the husband or not. Hopefully not. And StarCharles729 continued saying, "New subscriber here. I've watched quite a few of your videos and I must say you have the most perfect voice for narrating these types of stories." Thank you to the very, very nice words, StarCharles729. Well, if you wanted to get shout out like this, remember to comment in every episode that I upload. Now on to the second thing that I wanted to tell you, that since creating content now has kind of like become a second job to me, I would appreciate all sorts of support that I could get from you guys. One of it would be, if you are interested in buying me coffee, you can actually click on the link down below in the description to actually support me through donation. You can donate as low as $1. Well, a little bit helps. But if not, you can support me by sharing this out to as many people as possible, and hopefully the channel will eventually grow and we could get a lot more stories to share. Now, let's get on to today's story.
This is Creepy with Coffee.
This happened about 12 years ago. At the time, I had just finished my studies and started working in Kuala Lumpur. This is in Malaysia. I was renting a house with 4 of my close friends, Fadli, Ajak, Shakir, and Udin. I'm sure these names have been changed. One day, we decided to take a short holiday. After discussing a few options, we somewhat agreed on Port Dickson. It had been a while since any of us had relaxed by the beach. Since everyone was busy with work, Shakir volunteered to handle the booking for accommodation. We left it to him entirely. When the day finally came, we packed up and drove to Port Dickson in Udin's car. The journey took about 2 hours. And since this was before Waze or Google Maps was a thing, we relied on landmarks and basic directions. As we neared the destination, Udin asked Shakir for directions. That's when Shakir revealed that he had not booked a hotel or resort. Well, great job, Shakir. Instead, he had secured a homestay near an area called Rusa. I'm not sure if there are listeners that are from Port Dickson. If yes, probably you can tell us a lot more stories about this place called Rusa. Apparently, it was recommended by his boss, whose friend owned the place. After some hunting around, following vague instructions, we finally found the place. That's when I first felt something wasn't quite right. The house is a stand-alone bungalow, set far from other homes, shrouded by tall trees, some of which look ancient. The kind of place you expect to see in horror movie. It had a huge compound, great for big families and barbecue nights. But for us, there were only 5 of us. A budget hotel would have been more than enough. But well, I kept my thoughts to myself. Didn't want to ruin the group's excitement. Then came the second red flag. Instead of meeting the owner, Shakir retrieved the house keys from inside the mailbox. Well, bear in mind, Waze, Google Maps, Airbnb is not a thing yet. So this is not something that is usual practice, right? After retrieving the house key from the mailbox, we all exchanged confused glances. Shakir explained that the owner had an emergency and couldn't meet us in person. So he had left the key in the mailbox earlier that day. That's when things really started to feel off. As Shakir unlocked the front gate, I glanced toward the side of the house. This is through the side, I did not see it directly. I saw a lady, or rather a figure, a hunched old woman standing beneath one of the tall trees in the yard. She was somewhat still, like not moving, but it looked like she was watching us. Her face hidden beneath shadowed. That's when I turned to look at her, but before I turned, I had a blink. So when my sight is onto the trees in the yard, the old lady was no longer there. I told myself it was just my imagination. Maybe it's just the lighting. Probably a reflection. Who knows? Maybe I was tired, but the hairs on my neck stood on end. Something felt wrong. When we stepped into the house, an unpleasant smell greeted us. It wasn't overpowering, but it lingered, the stale, musty scent of forgotten paper and old boxes. Oddly, none of my friends mentioned it. Were they ignoring it? Or was I the only one who could smell it? Now, inside the homestay, it has 2 rooms. So I shared one with Shakir, and the rest took the larger room. After settling in, we headed out for seafood and a quick stroll along the beach. Everything felt normal outside. The usual laughter, photos, good vibes. But when we returned to the house later that evening, something strange happened. As we pulled up, we saw a shirtless older man, probably in his 50s, lounging outside the house next door. He was smoking a hand-rolled cigarette and wearing only a kain pelikat. So for those who do not know what is a kain pelikat, it's somewhat like a sarong. So the old man was just wearing that. We assumed he was the neighbor. Udin, ever friendly, waved at him, and the old man gave a small nod and smiled. Then we entered the homestay. Fadli suggested a late-night game of cards. Well, I declined. My body was aching and I felt a bit feverish. Something wasn't right. You okay? Shakir asked as I lay down. I don't know. I felt like I'm coming down with something. Then Shakir offered me some Panadol and stepped out. I decided I'd take it, but we had no water in the room. Reluctantly, I dragged myself toward the kitchen. The hallway was long and dark. The kitchen was located right at the back of the house. I groped around in the dark, trying to find a light switch. When I finally flicked it on, my heart stopped. Standing next to the fridge was a tall figure, cloaked in a tattered white shroud stained with dirt. Its head was slightly tilted, his face rotting, expressionless, and staring directly at me. I couldn't believe my eyes. A pocong standing right in front of me. I screamed a loud, involuntary scream, and the world went dark. When I woke up, I was surrounded by my friends. Everybody was there. I splashed water on my face to revive me. I was still trembling. I saw it. I saw a ghost. A pocong right there, but by the fridge. All of my friends looked at me with pity and disbelief. Udin tried to lighten the mood. Don't worry. Maybe he wanted to drink too. Come on, rest up. Don't overthink it. I knew what I saw. Later that night, we were jolted awake by screams from the other room. Ajak was having a full-blown panic attack. When we rushed in, he was trembling uncontrollably, pointing at the bathroom. "Pocong! I saw it! A pocong in the toilet!" Now, it wasn't just me. Suddenly, a loud banging echoed from the front door. Someone or something was knocking. Udin, brave as ever, stepped forward. Shakir followed closely behind. When the door opened, we saw the omen from earlier. The omen asked, "Are you boys okay?" Looking around. Then he introduced himself as Pak Din, the neighbor. Udin and Shakir explained what had happened. Pak Din stepped in and asked to see Ajak. Once he was very near to Ajak, he placed his hand gently on Ajak's forehead, muttering under his breath. Ajak thrashed and screamed before collapsing into unconsciousness. Then Pak Din turned to me, not with concern, but with a sharp, almost accusing glare. "I warned you not to disturb anything here. Why did you interfere?" I froze. I wasn't. I stammered. Pak Din stepped closer. "Not you," he said quietly. "I'm talking to the thing standing behind you." I turned. There was nothing there. Pak Din then sat down, cross-legged, and began reciting verses from the Quran. A blood-curdling woman's laughter rang through the air, high-pitched, shrill, and horrifying. "Bring your friend," Pak Din ordered. "You all have to leave tonight." We grabbed our things and carried Ajak to his house next door. His wife welcomed us in and locked the door behind us. After a glass of water and more prayers, Ajak slowly came to his senses. Pak Din then explained everything. The house we stayed in used to belong to a woman named Mak Leha, who was rumored to have practiced black magic. She lived with her 2 children, Azlan and Aslina. Her husband had long passed away. After her death, her body was discovered a week later and in an advanced state of decomposition by her daughter, Aslina. Her son, Azlan, never came back even for the funeral. He was angry that the mother never gave up her practices, despite his warnings. When Azlan and Aslina cleaned the house, Azlan found an old wooden box. He didn't open it. Instead, he tossed it immediately to burn it. Well, that was a mistake. Since then, anyone who had stayed in the house was not alone. Mak Leha's companions, including the pocong and a ghostly old woman, lingered, guarding her house, bound to it perhaps by a pact or something worse. Pak Din had tried everything to banish them, but nothing worked. Even now, he could sense them watching, waiting. But the next morning, we packed our things and left that cursed homestay, leaving the keys exactly where we found them, in the mailbox. Fellow listeners, if you are ever in Port Dickson, you didn't book this particular homestay from an Airbnb and your host says, just grab the keys from the mailbox. Think twice. You might be walking into the same house this person barely escaped from. Well, that's all for today's episode. Why do you think that 2 entities couldn't leave the house? Let me know down below in the comment section. Once again, if you have yet to do so, please help me subscribe, like, and share this with your family and friends. With that, good night, sweet dreams, or maybe not.